Hey, I'm NeverLag, and these are my top 10 games for the first half of 2026. Let's go! A couple notes before we get started. This list is in chronological order and not ranked because I'm not trying to spoil anything for my eventual Game of the Year list, and it also includes any game I've played this year, not just any game that came out this year, because that's how I play video games. So if that sounds good, let's get into it. Starting off my list, we have Night Rain. I got to admit, when this game came out late last year, I thought it was a stupid idea and really antithetical to everything a Souls game represents. But it turns out, what do I know, because this game is amazing. All of the FromSoft staples are here. You've got nonsensical game design, lack of quality of life, and poor optimization. But in spite of those things, Night Rain is just fun. I think what really surprised me about Night Rain was that, yeah, it's a Souls game. There's probably 40-50% of this game that is appealing to a Souls fan. But by and large, the rest of that percentage goes to time management and real-time strategy, and that's what really hooked me about this game. Those moments where you're flying into the map, making split-second decisions about where to go and what to do, moving at the speed of light, coming up to a boss and being like, should we fight this boss? Because yeah, we could probably beat it at our current level, but how much time would it take, and is that worth it? Those are the moments in Night Rain that were compelling to me. As much as I personally don't like quote-unquote hero shooters, I really enjoyed the different classes you can play here in Night Rain. They're all unique, and they offer something for everyone. I personally loved getting to play a bow and arrow class in a Souls game and not have it feel like absolute cheeks for the first time ever. That was fun. And then to top it all off, the boss fights, man. These boss fights, they are epic. They somehow perfectly bring the intensity and the frustration, and then eventually the triumph of battling any of your favorite Souls bosses from the franchise. But now you get to do it with the homies, and to be honest, that hits way harder than I was expecting. So there you have it. Congratulations to Night Rain. Your NeverLag award is in the mail, and I think we witnessed the birth of a new genre with this game. We're going to see tons and tons of Night Rain-like games coming out. We're going to get sick of it, just like we're sick of roguelites. But right here and right now, I'm ready for it. The second game making my prestigious list is the first Berserker Kazan, which is easily one of the best Sekiro-like games we've gotten. No, it's no Lies of P status or anything like that, but the combat here in Kazan is actually peak. They kept it nice and simple when it comes to the weapons. There are only 3 weapon types you get to choose from. They all have their own identity, as well as an extensive set of upgrades, and even a skill progression as you get more and more familiar and intimate with your weapon and knowing how to use it. I went with the Great Sword for my entire playthrough, and it's one of, if not the best feeling Great Sword I've ever virtually wielded. Seriously, the more I continued to use the Great Sword, it started to feel like an extension of my being, and the kit you unlock is fun to use. Shoulder charging fools, charging a massive slam that simultaneously does AoE damage to enemies around me, using your sword as a burst charge to gain momentum in the air and slam it into the ground like it's Monster Hunter or something. The combat is 10 out of 10 here. And then to make good on that combat, so are the bosses. This is a truly excellent boss list, and several of the later game bosses are of the caliber that they probably should impact anyone's top bosses of all time list. In fact, the final boss to Kazan is up there with Sword Saint Ishin and Arlecchino and the Nameless King and whatever that chick's name from Nine Souls is. It's an all-timer final boss. To speak briefly to the weakest part of the game, though I do love the visual identity and style, the environment design. It's just so muddy and gray. The color palette is very drab and boring, and there's so many broken down cityscape levels, and it's just quite frankly ugly a lot of the time, where I wish they could have brought a little bit more color and maybe a little bit more imagination to these environments. That would have gone a long way. But regardless, if you love Sekiro, if you love combat depth, easy recommendation. And congratulations, first Berserker Kazan, your award is in the mail. For game number 3, we have Mio Memories in Orbit. First off, let me just say how sad it is to hear that this studio, 12 was shut down recently after the game apparently did not sell well enough. Just what a sad industry we're in right now, where a game of this quality can come out and not be enough to support the people who made it. And yes, this game is quality. It's easily the most hauntingly beautiful Metroidvania world I've experienced outside of Hollow Knight. Hauntingly beautiful is exactly the way I would also describe the music. It's this unlikely perfect match of early 20th century choir sounds mixed with electronic synth tech beats, and it's a soundtrack that has stuck with me. The art style, though, is equally unique. I absolutely loved the grainy yet vibrant construction paper-esque aesthetic that brought this sci-fi apocalyptic space station to life. Honestly, I can't say enough great things about Mio. The world was engrossing to explore, the boss fights were top tier, the movement is in the discussion for best I've ever experienced in a Metroidvania, and the story was impactful. So thank you 12 for making such a special game. Your award is in the mail, and I'm only sad that we won't get to see what you would have made next. How bad was that? Was it bad? Let's move on to game number 4, which is Cairn. From one artistic masterpiece to another, Cairn was practically made for me. They took the core concept of a co-op game, but instead of rage bait, they focused it into an elegant and thought-provoking experience about physical and mental struggle, a dichotomy between overcoming hardship and running from your problems, and channeled it all perfectly into the premise and gameplay of climbing a literal and yet also symbolic Mount Kami. In fact, you know this game had an impact because I remember the name of the mountain months later, and I don't remember much. Is this game for everyone? Maybe not. It's very contemplative. There will be times where you spend 40 plus minutes just quietly climbing a specific portion of the mountain with nothing but the breeze or the rain to keep you company, but I do think this game should be for everyone. Much of this game mimics its source material, which is real life, in that it feels like the antidote to short form content. It's a reminder that instant gratification is hollow, and true dopamine and joy come from success after struggle, reaching the next plateau, taking a breath and looking down over everything you've accomplished. This game was cathartic. It made me think, it made me feel, and the way this game rolls credits is one of those endings that will leave you just sitting there, wondering how does art get any better, and what do I do with myself now? Congratulations to Cairn. Your NeverLag award is in the mail. I can't wait for the DLC, and please make me climb another giant mountain in the sequel. Game number 5 is Death Stranding 2, and I'm not sure how many potential Death Stranding fans there are still out there at this point, but to those who say, why would I want to play a glorified delivery man simulator? It's just bringing one thing from one location to another. I say, isn't that what life is? Are we not just constantly bringing our body from one location to another for some specific reason? And to those who say it's too weird, I say, so what? Get a little weird. What's the opposite of weird? Normal? You just want constant normal your whole life as you bring your body from one place to another for some specific reason? That sounds really boring. Anyways, those are my compelling arguments in favor of Death Stranding 2, but it is in fact a glorified delivery man simulator, and it is in fact very weird, but it is both of those things in the best way. It's got wacky, over-the-top characters, insane sci-fi plot points and world building that take themselves very seriously one minute, and then a totally out-of-pocket choreographed fight scene with a pizza chef the next. It's one of the best looking games ever made. The combat is improved, it has crazy impressive set pieces and boss fights, the story and cutscenes are legitimately hype, and the act of exploring the world, slowly building and fully streamlining a system of getting around the world with zip lines, vehicles, jump pads, and coffin hoverboards is better and more satisfying than ever. And although Death Stranding 1 is still a great game, it is definitely worth playing. These games, they're huge, and time is a precious commodity for us all. So, if you have not yet gotten into Death Stranding, but you're thinking about it, my recommendation would likely be to watch a full video recap of the first game so that you can get to know the story and the world and the characters, and then play Death Stranding 2, because in my opinion, Death Stranding 2 is a must-play game. Congrats to Hideo Kojima. I'm not sure if he's directed much of anything else before this, but he did a really good job here. And I am very happy to present him and his team with what must be their very first ever award, which is in the mail. Now, game number 6 is Hades 2, and I waited to play Hades 2 until it hit 1.0 because when a game really matters, you just gotta wait for marriage, if you know what I mean. You can't just go wasting your flower on some early access 0.6 update one night stand. It wasn't easy, but my abstinence was rewarded, and I can now confirm that Hades 2 is in fact a good game, just like everyone said it was. They weren't lying. This is very much a numbered sequel, though, in that they just kind of took Hades 1, iterated, improved, and made more of it. But it's hard to blame them when Hades 1 was already a near-perfect game. That said, due to the iterative nature of Hades 2, there are some things I like more and some things I like less. For starters, I really do miss Zagreus as the main character. He had such a suave, Zorro, truly likable nature to him, and although Melinoe is excellent in her own right, I still find myself partial to my homie Z. That partiality also extends to the characters specifically in the hub space. I just enjoyed the ones in Hades 1 more than I did here in Hades 2. Apart from that, though, the combat, weapons, build diversity, progression, and scope of the game are all a step up here. Getting what was essentially double the content of Hades 1 with 2 different paths to pick from, both with unique characters to meet, quests to work on, and bosses to fight, was a really refreshing game design decision that allows you to change things up if you get frustrated or fatigued by one path. After rolling credits, this is a game that I just wanted to keep playing, and I hope to get back to it because I really do want the 100% at some point. So, congrats to Supergiant. They have quickly become one of my favorite studios in the industry, from Bastion to Transistor, now to Hades. They just don't miss. So, go play the rest of their games. Your award is in the mail. And don't tell anyone, but for your next game, I kind of want you to do something else. I don't want Hades 3. Okay, thanks, Supergiant. Love you. Game number 7 is Pragmata. This was my very first Resident Evil game, and it was so heartwarming. I can't wait to try the rest of them. The relationship between Hugh and Diana, though eye-rolling at times, is mostly endearing. The story around them actually gets solidly interesting with some good twists and payoffs and some really cool sci-fi set pieces later in the game. The tone is a nice balance between charming and suspenseful. The gameplay is really fun and novel. This idea of multitasking where you complete hacking minigames on enemies while also having to control Hugh and position yourself and dodge attacks is something that was fun in the demo, but the question always was how would it feel for the entire length of a game? But it was certainly new and interesting, and the core concept is really dialed in. It is good enough, and it's also a system that continues to add new layers the further you get, which keeps the combat engaging and fun for the entire 12-hour runtime of the game. And that's really the other part about this game. It does not overstay its welcome. It knows what it is. It's here for a good time, not a long time, and I thoroughly enjoyed that time with it. So congrats to Capcom. Your NeverLag award is in the mail, and I can't wait to see what the other Resident Evil games are like. Game number 8 is Saros. Housemarque freaking delivered with this one. Man, despite not loving Returnal's protagonist or story, I still loved it for its gameplay. But here with Saros, they took that gameplay, made it noticeably better, noticeably smoother, added in a more tangible story, better visuals, better sound design, a shockingly great boss list, easily the best art design and location design I've seen in a game this year, and made it 3 to 4 times bigger than Returnal ever was. This is one of those games that just feels like butter to play, baby. The second you put fingers on the sticks, you melt into your chair and enter a transcendent flow state of speed, action, lights, and colors. Which really just sounds like the Tetris effect, actually. But Saros is a true tear jump, in my opinion, and puts Housemarque in the same echelon as other Sony first-party studios like Sucker Punch, Team Asobi, and Guerrilla. No idea what's going on over at Sony HQ these days or if they view Saros as a success, but I hope Housemarque gets to make whatever their third game in this quote-unquote franchise would be, because nothing plays like Saros. Your NeverLag award is in the mail, and I really hope Sony doesn't close your studio for literally no reason. Game number 9 is Mixtape. If you had told me that Mixtape would be in my top 10 games at the midpoint of 2026, I would have said, hey now, that is mildly implausible. And yet that is the world we're living in, folks. I, the man who continually shouts at clouds that gameplay is king, am here admitting defeat at the hands of Mixtape. Mainly because of vibes. If gameplay is king, then vibes are queen, and Mixtape will rock you. Unless of course it doesn't, because I do think that Mixtape is one of those games that is either going to click with you or it won't. For me though, I love music and I resonated deeply with the core concept of this game, which is music adding depth to moments and memories and the curating of said music. This game is basically the good old days in a bottle. It perfectly captures that feeling of a moment in time feeling bigger in our memory than it ever did when we were living it. The writing does a great job of capturing pointless teenage angst right alongside moments of actual depth and meaning. I really came to love the characters, especially Slater, and I also really clicked with the eccentric narrator and delivery style and presentation that reminded me a bit of 500 Days of Summer. Bottom line, if this game had featured literally any music that mattered to me personally from growing up, like Blink-182, Sugar Ray, or Tom Petty, it probably would be my game of the year, no questions asked. Congrats to Mixtape for doing the unthinkable and making me love a game with minimal gameplay. Your NeverLag award is in the mail. Speaking of vibes, my most recent and 10th game of this list is Skate Story. If you saw my recent video, every game I played in June, I'm sure you could have assumed this was going to make the list. And as I said there, this game is special. Sam, you dirty dog. The fact that this game was essentially made by one person is astonishing and again makes me question what I'm doing with my life. His vision to create a game that captures the more organic and messy nature of skating with a surreal, minimalistic visual design and absolutely killer soundtrack from the band Blood Cultures all come together to be something greater than the sum of its parts. There are these points in the game where you start these more linear skate sections, and this music that's been playing in the background quietly will all of a sudden culminate with a beat drop at just the perfect moment, and you just can't believe how good it all is. It's an ethereal experience that feels exactly like a dream you had and wish you could remember, and it's one of those games that you recommend to even that one friend who doesn't really play games. So congratulations to Sam. I'm sorry it took me so long to play your game, but your NeverLag award is in the mail, and please stop making the rest of us look bad. And there you have it, my top 10 games for the first half of 2026. Which ones will survive the top 10 at the end of the year? Is my game of the year hidden somewhere on this list, or have I yet to play it? Stay tuned to find out. Like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate all the support I saw on my last video. That was super cool. And also there are some obvious omissions on this list, and that's likely because I just didn't get around to playing it. Games like Forza 6, Resi 9, Mugenics, Mina the Hollower, many more. So if there's one game not on this list that you think I need to play, let me know what that is in the comments, and also let me know what your top games from the first half of 2026 are. No rules, just whatever you've played. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.